But what I want to do is I want to start with the ice cream. Okay? Let's see. So the ice cream, we're gonna do the Financier next, but the ice cream right now. Ice cream essentially has. You ever hear the term frozen custard? So usually ice cream a custard refers to something that's thickened with eggs, whether it's egg yolks or whole eggs. Creme brulees, flans, quiche, all those things are thickened with eggs. So usually an ice cream base, if it's a true ice cream or a French style ice cream, has egg yolks in it. If you take a Haagen-Dazs container or a Ben & Jerry's, you look at the ingredients, you'll see milk, cream, sugar, egg yolks, and then plus all the other things that are going to be in there, all the other flavorings. But those are usually going to be the first three or four things. So that's what we're going to do right now. So we have, for this vanilla ice cream. Now, I kind of throw a little snag in there for you. Everything's weighed out. So in class, we don't use cups, or we don't use cups for weighing things out, because that's not what you do in the industry. You never work in a commercial kitchen and someone say use 56 cups of flour. Everything's weighed. Okay, it's the scales. For the reason of volume and the reason of using cups, it's very inaccurate. If you do cups and she does cups, it's going to be slightly different. Okay, so everything is as we do in class right now. So everything is going to be in either ounces. And the little snag I did was for the ice cream, I put it in grams. Grams are actually easier to work with than pounds and ounces. Much easier. I do that for my students. Sometimes we compare the difference. Most of the times we use ounces, pounds, but the grams are going to be a little easier. So, use the digital scale. Okay, that's the easiest way that we could do this. So for this, we have for the ice cream. Now, another interesting thing about ice cream, it's usually not all cream. Usually ice cream is half milk, half cream. Sometimes it's even more milk. If you start getting into gelatos, a lot of gelato is mostly more milk than cream. Okay, if you were just to make ice cream with straight cream, it would come out of the machine fairly smooth. It tastes a little bit rich, but as it went in the freezer and you pulled it out, it would be rock hard with all the fat, all the butter fat in there. So usually ice cream is actually not just cream, it's usually milk and cream. So what we'll do is we will bring the milk and cream. This is 9 ounces of milk, 9 ounces of cream. We'll bring it to a scald with sugar in the recipe and the vanilla bean. So, and this is another kind of sugar, the corn syrup. Corn syrup is sometimes added just to make it a little bit smoother in texture. It's not as icy. Okay. Let me use this induction heater right here. Okay, so we're going to use vanilla in this. So vanilla comes in a couple different forms. You've got the vanilla extract, you've got vanilla paste, and you've got the real deal. That's the vanilla bean. Okay, vanilla's second most expensive spice or flavoring you can buy. You guys know what the first one is? Saffron. Yeah, saffron. Saffron's by weight, but you're not going to use a lot of saffron. A little. You guys ever work with saffron? Just a little bit goes a long way, but it's expensive. Vanilla is very expensive as well. Depends where you get it from. These are from, I think these are Madagascar vanilla beans. Usually Tahiti, Madagascar, and Mexico are the three places where you find a lot of vanilla beans. Vanilla doesn't really have much going on the outside. It's what's inside the vanilla bean. Okay, so when you use a vanilla bean, what does it say for this? One whole vanilla bean. So you have to split the vanilla bean and scrape the inside. Okay, so if I take this, usually I'll flatten it out a little bit. Take a paring knife, lengthwise, cut it in half. So you have that. Now all the love, all the good stuff is on the inside. It's almost like a tar. And within that, there's thousands and thousands of these little vanilla seeds. Okay, you ever get vanilla ice cream that has a little seeds in there? That's what it is. Okay. So not the sharp end of a paring knife, but the dull end, the back side. You want to run it across. you scrape it. It doesn't look like a lot, but that's thousands and thousands of little seeds. Okay? And also this has a lot of the flavor in it as well. Okay? Not so much the outside, but what's still left on the inside. So I'll add that to this. Scrape the second one as well. Now I'm not too concerned about any of these little fibers. Sometimes vanilla has little fibers in there. We're gonna use a tool called a chinois, which is a strainer, a really fine strainer, and that will take out any of these little fibers. But the seeds, the good stuff, will go through. Okay. So this we want to bring up to a scald, which the fact that there's steam coming off is telling me that it's getting close.
Does it have to boil?
No. Just about to a boil. So the sides are starting to bubble, and it looks as if you kept it on another 10 seconds, it would come to that boil. So really, really close to a boil. What we're doing is we're trying to get this mixture very hot so that we can add some of this hot mixture to the egg yolks very slowly so we don't cook it too much, and then we're going to combine it all and then we're going to cook it. Okay? If you were to take the egg yolks and just add it to that, we'd overcook it. Yeah, we'd scramble the egg yolks. So it's called tempering. So we're going to temper this hot mixture into the yolk mixture. This technique is used a lot in pastry, not just for ice cream bases, but for making mousses, for making Bavarian cream, which is actually what we did for this cake right here. This green is a pistachio Bavarian cream. Same technique is involved, and then there's other steps. This is actually... So I'm going to temper this into the egg yolks. So we have, how many egg yolks? 6 egg yolks.
Is the induction burner just fast? Right?
So super fast. I use this for demos. We don't necessarily use this. It's also a fantastic tool for cooking sugar, the induction. Okay. So, I'm going to add a little bit. I'm going to stir it in, add a little bit, stir it in, add a little bit, stir it in. So I've added this hot mixture to the yolks very slowly. Okay. Now I'm going to add all this back into the pot. Now whenever you do ice cream base, you want to make sure that you have your ice bath ready to cool it down. What will happen is when you make a custard and you're cooking it, once it's done, you have to cool it down immediately. If you don't, it'll continue to cook. Kind of like meat. You take meat out of the oven, you have to let it sit. It carries over, they call it. It continues to cook a little bit. So if we were to cook our custard just right, and take it off and not strain it and ice bath it, if you just left it there, it would continue to cook, it would be overcooked. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have your ice bath, which will stop it from cooking right away. So let me add this into here. I got all this good vanilla right there I want to get in. Okay. Now, with the wooden spoon, it's not necessarily wood, this is better than wood, but let's just, for lack of talking about the breakdown of the spoon, we'll use this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cook this. I think I wrote until it coats the back of the spoon. Right now it's very liquidy. See that? It's like yellow milk. What's going to happen? It's very subtle. What's going to happen is it's going to get to a temperature of 170 degrees. It's going to cook the egg yolks. Boom, take it off right away. How I can tell is that it will carefully coat the back of the spoon. You guys ever seen vanilla sauce like on plated desserts? It's called creme anglaise. Same thing. Creme anglaise, when you put it in an ice cream machine, it turns into ice cream. So this is done. See that? See how it coats the back of the spoon like that? Now, the true indicator is if you run your finger across, it holds that line. Okay? It's called, if you were to, the terminology would be cook it to a nappe. So I teach the students how to cook it to a nappe. So So you see that? Coats the back with a spoon. It's done. If I leave it, it's going to overcook. So what we'll do is we'll carefully, this is called a chinois. See how fine it is? It'll get out all the stuff we don't want. Even if there's a little egg shell in there, I'm not concerned about it. It's going to pass through the strainer. Anything we don't want, stay in the strainer. All the good stuff will come right through. Just press it through. And then this is vanilla ice cream right here. Well, it's not vanilla ice cream yet, it's the base. So now I put this into an ice bath to cool it down. Okay? It's very important that you cool it down. And you can give it a little stir once in a while. So if you see how clean that is, right? You see all the little vanilla seeds in there? Now if you can smell it, I can smell it, the strong vanilla. Okay? So you have to have an ice cream machine to spin ice cream. It could be a very nice single batch, expensive little machine over there, or it could be the little $50 or $40 Cuisinart Crux thing that you can get at Bed Bath & Beyond. It all does the same thing. It's a frozen drum, and there's a blade that goes around slowly and scrapes it off the side as it freezes. Okay. This machine here might take about 8 minutes for us to get a full batch of ice cream, like 2 quarts. The little guys might take 15-20 minutes. So the shorter amount of time it can churn and create a frozen product, the smaller the frozen crystals, the nicer it is on your palate. The nicer, the smoother it is. You know, you eat some ice creams are really buttery smooth, and some are kind of grainy. A lot of it has to do with how it was spun. Okay, so the stuff you're gonna have today is gonna be probably the best you've ever had. All right. Any questions on that? Did that seem fairly easy?
Yeah.
So if I was making chocolate ice cream, I would add the chocolate at the end. If I was doing, give me a flavor. See if I can.
Blueberry. Strawberry.
Strawberry. Usually, that kind of stuff doesn't get cooked in. It's the base is made, and then you add the fruit at the end. Okay. If I was doing things with like chunks in it, you know, like Ben & Jerry's has all these chunky things, pretzels, whatever. That stuff would go in not now, or when it cooled down, it would go in after it got spun.
What about
what?
What about like
Alcohol? It could go in after you cook it.
and it won't keep it from freezing the alcohol?
Now, okay, that's a great point. Alcohol doesn't freeze, and sugar doesn't freeze. So the more alcohol you have in an ice cream, the smoother it's going to be. The more sugar you have in an ice cream, the smoother it's going to be. But obviously you don't want ice cream to be too sweet, and you don't want it to be too boozy. Maybe you do. If it's really boozy, you're going to have a milkshake. It's never going to freeze up. It'll never get to that point of being
slushy.
What's that?
Slushy.
It'll be a slushy or a smoothie. Yeah, first time I ever made champagne sorbet, I did not. I understood that concept, but I didn't think champagne had enough alcohol in it to really never freeze. It was a slushy. So I basically took champagne and sweetened it a little bit. I added a little lemon juice, did a couple things to it, put it in the ice cream machine, spun it. It never froze. You have to dilute it a little bit with water, or you can cook it. You can bring some of it to a boil. When you boil it, it cooks the alcohol out. So if you're doing an ice cream base and you want it to taste like Kahlua, the alcohol part, you would add it after it's chilled. I wouldn't add it. I wouldn't cook it in, because you cook it in, you cook the alcohol out. Okay. So. Okay, so the ice cream base is done. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. Can't work with clutter, you know. All right, Financiers. Sounds so French, huh? It is. Simple though. Okay, first thing for the Financier. We're not going to do raspberry Financiers, by the way. We're going to do blueberries. These can be made small, which we made small little individuals, or they can be made big, large. Okay. We just baked some off here a moment ago. And that's kind of how they look. They're very small. Sometimes you see them really small, like individual little bite size. Okay. So these, what we're going to do with the Financiers is we're going to, the first thing it says is to brown the butter. Does anyone know what browning butter is? Brown butter?
I just put it right.
Okay.
Saute dish, sorry.
No, that's right. This butter was browned. You guys see that? I pre-did it because it would take a little bit to do it. Browning butter. You guys see that? You take butter and you literally put it in a pan. You turn the heat on. Butter has like almost 10% water in it, so when it comes to a boil, you're going to see steam coming off, but that's the water. Eventually the water's going to evaporate and it's going to start to burn. So we actually burnt the butter slightly to give it this kind of nutty flavor. It makes things kind of smells nutty. It almost smells like almonds, like roasted almonds. It's used a lot for like fish. A lot of fish prep. You guys ever hear of Wiener Schnitzel? It's not fish, but usually it's like what, veal or lamb. That's the same thing. It's brown butter, and you're frying it in brown butter. Okay, so it's essentially like slightly burnt butter is what brown butter is. Okay. Hey, Greg. Can I get another chinois? Okay. So mysteriously, magically, the butter has been browned for us. Okay. And cool it so it's slightly warm. This is perfect. Right there. Thanks. So I want to strain it out because there are some solids in here that we don't want. So essentially the butter is too brown. If you overdo it, it's burnt. It doesn't taste right. So it's better to underdo the brown butter than to overdo it. Okay. Brown butter is browned. Now we are going to sift the dry ingredients and cream it with the egg whites. The dry ingredients would be the powdered sugar, the almond flour, and the cake flour. Okay? So we have all that right here. Powdered sugar is powdered sugar. You guys know what that is. Loves to be lumpy. So it's very important to sift it. Here's my cake flour. Cake flour is... Here's my almond meal. Cake flour is doesn't look any different than all-purpose flour or bread flour or pastry flour. It's one of the things my students are always a little bit interested in is, or surprised by, is one of the first labs that we do, I introduce them to cake flour, pastry flour, bread flour, all-purpose flour, high gluten flour. We have all these flours, and they're used to having a bag and opening up and having flour. We have bins. I don't know where they are, but we have bins, and we have many, many styles of flours. Each flour does a specific thing, has a specific job. For making bread, we want a flour that's going to produce a lot of gluten. Okay, gluten is what makes dough really elastic. So when that guy out there who's flipping his pizza, he has to have a high protein flour that has a lot of gluten, so he can that structure will hold together. If we're doing a cake, we don't want that gluten in there. We want lower protein in our flour. So cake flour is essentially a flour that has a very low amount of protein in it, which doesn't make a lot of gluten. Did I just lose you guys?
No, no.
Okay. So
keep going.
If we use bread flour in a cake, we'll have a cake that's going to be kind of dry, kind of dense, kind of heavy. If I use cake flour in our pizza dough, we'll have a pizza dough that would not hold its structure and it would just tear. The guy would try to spin it and it would tear in a million pieces. So there's different flours for different things, okay? So this one we're going to use a cake flour. We're going to use a sifter. And we're going to sift everything together. So we got our powdered sugar, our cake flour, and our almond meal. Almond meal is essentially just ground up almonds, okay? It's very fine. And... Look happy though. Whiskey. Oh, look serious. Yeah. Whiskey. So we're going to sift it all together. Yeah.
Do you make your own almond meal?
No, we'll buy it because if you try to make your own, if you grind it in a food processor, it would turn to almond butter before we got that.
Right. Okay, so where do you buy almond?
You can find it in Trader Joe's. They have little bags of it. Henry's has it too.
They do.
You know, the way we buy everything at school or commercially, we buy everything from specialty purveyors, when we get everything involved, it's much cheaper. Okay, so sift all of this. Okay, we've got all of our sifted dry. Now the egg whites, which were left over from the ice cream. Notice how I don't know if any of you caught this, I used 6 egg yolks for the ice cream, 6 egg whites for this. Good, right? No waste. Add all your egg whites. And it says to cream it. And cream it, what that means is you're going to use a paddle attachment. If you were using one of those old school things, I guess a beater would work. Okay, we're going to cream this for a little bit. Show you bring it all together. Kind of show you what that looks like. This looks like a batter. Once that's nice and combined, I'm going to add the brown butter. Here's the brown butter. You want to make sure it's not hot or it's not too cold. Perfect. I'm going to add the vanilla. Okay, so here goes the brown butter. Stream it in. Can you smell that? It's kind of nutty, right? The butter. Usually there's some solids right there. I'm not going to pass those through. Maybe that. Turn up a little bit, let it cream. We're going to pipe these, or put the batter, which is pretty loose. I'm going to bake them off of these. They're little 4-ounce hard shells. You want to butter these a little bit. Another thing that I don't really allow students to do is to take a piece of butter and a paper towel and try to move it around. It's a little culture shock for a lot of people. Okay. So this is what it looks like. This could be made days in advance, and then you could pipe it and bake it off as you wanted it. Right now it's very, very, very thin. When it cools, because of all the butter you guys saw went in there, it gets firm. So you can actually pipe it. It's very easy to work with. All right. This is what it looks like here. It's very, very thin. Okay. I'm still going to pipe it. See a knife in there? That's it. What's this? There it is. Now, it says raspberry on there. If we're out of raspberries, we're going to use blueberries. You can mix up things. I've used, it's really nice when we start to get into summer. We start getting stone fruit, peaches, plums, nectarines, things like that. Wonderful for this. Right now we're in a period, we're in the spring. There's not much happening right now. There's berries that just starting to come out. But that's it. Nothing. Apples, pears, gone. Rhubarb is starting to come around right now. It's more of a vegetable, but that's good. Probably in a couple months from now we'll start to see, cherries are the first stone fruit that start to pop out, and then we'll start to see apricots and pluots and apriums and white nectarines and all that good stuff. It's my favorite times. This is going to make more. We're going to pipe these about halfway in. That much. And a little more.
Is there an advantage to piping it instead of just saying?
You can use a ladle. You could use a ladle and just scoop it out. I'm just so used to piping things. Okay, this will make more, but right now there's working on these tins over there. Now, what we'll do. Take some blueberries, which has been washed, and put some in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll hit them with a little bit of almonds. Sprinkle them on top. You guys all sign that card?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it a record? Do we know?
Yes. 200.
No, it's already
200 more?
No, it's there.
It's there.
That's what you just got to tell us.
Almonds on top.
What is it?
Just toasted almonds.
Is all the food covered in our cost, in our tuition?
Yeah. There's when you sign up for the courses, it's a all the pastry classes are 3-unit classes, and there's also a $40 lab fee, I believe. That's added on. So that's all covered. And there we go. Just a little bit of sugar on top. Now these guys, on the recipe, I wrote to bake it 325 for about 17 minutes. That's in a convection oven. This, you hear the fan? Hear that? It's a convection. So bump it up about 25 degrees for a regular conventional oven. So about 350. And it's going to take more time than 17 minutes. It's going to take more like 25, possibly 30 minutes. Okay? This will go in here. Set this timer here. I made ice cream base before this one, so we have more, because that little batch isn't going to really feed all of us. So the ice cream base is already cool. I'm going to show you guys the machine over here. We're actually going to put it in and spin it, turn it. Sorry, Greg. Catching you off guard. I was still rinsing. So this is the machine. You're just rinsing it out. We always rinse it out before we spin ice cream in it. Even though it's clean, you just want to make sure nothing fell in. So all the machine is this blade that spins, and this drum freezes. And as it freezes, it spins and it scrapes it off the side. That's all it does. There's no degrees of cold or anything. It's just there's two buttons on it. There's eject and on. That's it. That's all it is. It's a very simple machine. Base of the fridge. Oh, the one that we made earlier. Oh, you spun it. Alright. Yeah, ready to eat. Alright, okay. I didn't know that. Let's spin this. I guess we will be tasting the one that I just made. Yeah. This is Greg, by the way. He's actually my lab assistant or teaching assistant. He was a student. He's been working here now for, what, 3 years?
Yes, 3 years since I graduated.
He's my right-hand man. Any questions so far? No? What's that? It does the same thing as like those crackers, but you can't make an ice cream base and put it in the freezer. Take it out the next day, it's going to be as hard as a rock. You have to churn it, okay? But this does the same thing as those old school ice rock salt things. It does the same thing. Yeah. This is like a home version of this. You know, this is what we used to use before we had these. This does the same thing. Here's our little blade. Here's the drum, except for this doesn't make the drum frozen. You have to put this in the freezer. But it does the same thing. This thing spins. That's it. The product is okay. And this is really, really good. You can see it turning in there. That's all it's doing. The machines, you never want to fill them too high either. Halfway. Same with these. A little bit more than halfway is fine. You don't want to fill it to the top. It'll have to spin too long. The longer it spins, the more air you spin into it, and the lighter and fluffier it gets, which is necessarily what you want for an ice cream. You guys may get those cheap ice creams. You know, you pay, I don't know what you pay, but you know, really cheap. You pick up a gallon, it feels like it's light as a feather. It's all air. Okay? You get something that's a little more expensive, your Haagen-Dazs, denser, like gelato, with less air in it. Okay? That stuff. So you can actually see how quick that's starting to freeze. See how it's starting to freeze around the side? It's scraping it. Zach, by the way, guys. have, I would serve warm ice cream. And it depends on the size of the fork. Probably not, because I would want to melt on top. I'd have it on a nice plate and have it already. It's hard to say. It's hard to say shape-wise, size of everything. Plus, to how big my forks are small. I use like fine dining stuff, so usually the more expensive, the finer it gets, the smaller it gets. So that's. Oh yeah. Whipped cream as well. But I love the play-out form of cold. But to me, I look at a dessert as I look at this as like a piece of steak, for instance. Like you're not just going to serve a piece of steak on a plate and out it goes. You're going to want to add sauces to it, starches to it. You're going to want to add things to it to make it a full meal. So that's the way I approach desserts too. Usually each dessert has different components going on with it. So there's the ice cream right there. It's a very small batch, but he's taking it out.
What is the capacity on that machine?
I think it's like 2 quarts. It's not a lot. But you can spin. We could do a batch of ice cream, extract it, add more, keep going. Keep going. At some point, the machine gets really hot and that's really cool down. But you can go.
Chef, you said in a restaurant you would make that in order.
Yeah.
So what's the smallest
Bake it to order.
Bake it.
Yeah, I wouldn't like do that whole process, and then I would have the batter and have it already in something, and then again order it, just fire it in the oven.
So you would make a smaller batter than when you showed us, maybe half of that?
Depends on how many. No, because that could last for like a week.
Okay.
So I could make it bigger than that, and then we could. Let's say we think we're going to sell 20 of those tonight. We can type out 25 of them, and this order comes in, and we can make it off, take it out. Yeah. It's always nice to be able to do things in restaurants where you don't have a lot of waste. You know. So we're good.
Can you serve this with any dinner entree, like fish?
Sure. Whatever, yeah. There's chocolate variations of Financiers. There's all sorts of different variations. Let's plate these up. You guys want some sauce with this?
Yeah?
I happen to have caramel sauce left over from my class the other day. That might actually work really well.
Okay, fine.
You guys are love. Raspberry sauce. Caramel rum. Is everyone over 21? 21?
Raspberry.
Excellent. You played this up? It's per class. So each class is a unit is what's a unit now?
It's like 26 bucks.
26. So 26 times 3 plus $40 lab fee. That's one class. Yeah. So 78. So 70, 78 hours. 100. Each class is about 16. Each course is about 16 classes. Yeah, and it's 8 weeks, so twice a week. And the length of the class is 5 hours. And the size is 25 people. 25. So usually we have the 6 groups. Usually it's about 4 people per group. Or, yeah.
Do they run them in the summer or not?
No,
Not now?
we used to do it in the summer, and then it was just no downhill. But
Is that just this year?
well, last year as well. We'll probably bring it back. We have. All right, you guys want to taste?
Yeah.